Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramon.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm so fired up to have you join us today. I'm also fired up because I'm talking to my guest. You guys are in for a great show today, I'm going to tell you. But we dedicate this podcast exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, and that purpose being a servant's heart, serving people. If you approach your work and your lives, both of those, you could truly make a difference. And I tell people all the time, when you can make a difference almost daily, like I do, it's like Christmas every day, and such a great feeling. We also created this show to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you to make an impact in your world. Again, who wouldn't want to make an impact? And while you're listening to this incredible show, this guest, again, it's going to blow you away. I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and serve others today, what impact you create today. And that key word is today, because people aren't doing it. We were just talking before the show how people are not doing this anymore, and how we get during the election these texts like, hey, give us money, or somebody telling us we're not doing our business right without knowing us. We'll get into all that. But today's episode is proudly sponsored by our incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Would you like to be part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries? Together, we're building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. Again, it's about impact and change and making a difference. We all doing sales today. Yeah, you listening, you probably sold something today. You don't know you did. Well, we're going to talk about that, because I think value is a better word than sales, even though ultimately it's going to be a sale, but value is the most important thing. And one of my guests had called it value giving, not selling, which I thought was pretty cool. So I want to welcome my incredible guest, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. I'm wondering, when you say I'm going to blow people away, is it because they're going to like up the volume and be like, man, I can't believe there's somebody out there whose head is so square as this person and whose ideas are so ridiculous? Or is it because we're going to have something interesting and insightful to say?
Well, no, it's because you're called depth charge. What's your business called? Depth
charge consulting. That's right.
That's where I got it from. And you're the CIA guy. I told you before the show, we're doing this live, guys. You're the CIA guy I was talking about. So
that's right. Former.
Now, how do you go from former CIA to sales? It's crazy.
Yeah. It's funny. They don't have a lot of movies where like Jason Bourne just becomes a corporate shill and then puts on a suit every day and shows up to sell SaaS software. Right. But no, yeah, thank you for asking. First of all, I had a wonderful time working for our government. I actually grew up in a family where everybody was pretty much military. But Steve, I'm diabetic and I couldn't serve. And, you and I, we connected before this on the point, the servant's heart. I know one thing that's really important to you and I is public service. So for me, serving the federal government was the next best option. And I did it for a while, and saw that the next 30 years of my career were kind of laid out before me. And because I'm a curious guy, I'm a millennial with a short attention span, I said, let me see what else is out there before I kind of commit to what the rest of my life is going to be. And since then, it's just been this crazy adventure around the private sector, working with IT executives and HR executives and sales executives, getting to learn from some of the smartest people in the world. And hopefully, like you said at the beginning, making some impact along the way too.
And we're going to add to this story, audience. This is why you're going to love this show. He does improv. Surprising enough, you can see it. So are you still doing improv, or is that something that is in your past?
Wow, boy, pretty soon we're going to come back to like when I was 16, I used to do birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese too, because that's It's funny when yeah, right. So I taught improv for a few years, and performed at a place in Arlington, Virginia, and then I taught both to other aspiring comedians, but also to some corporate groups to help them kind of get better at communication and thinking. And I'll say there's two things about improv that really stick with me, Steve, and I'm sure you'd probably love it as somebody who's constantly, on thinking on your feet, talking to people, hosting such wonderful conversations. The first thing is if you get really comfortable being your authentic self and saying what's on your mind, it absolutely translates from comedy to business. The second thing is if you want to meet some of the most depressed people in the world, go be a comedian.
Depression doesn't sounds like a yin and a yang there. Supposed to make people laugh and you're depressed.
I mean, that's why so many clowns have the sad tear makeup that they put on. But I met some fascinating people, but for a lot of people, getting out there in front of people and making them laugh, it was a way to be something different, a catharsis. But for me, I'm always trying to get a rise out of people and make things fun and interesting. And hopefully, Steve, I know you're similar. We try to make what we talk about engaging so that people pay attention and get a little more out of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a couple big sales guys that did billions of dollars in sales. Both of them said, "You want to be a better salesperson?" They literally said, "Do improv." They both
Really?
took improv classes.
There you go.
So when I saw your story, I'm like, no wonder why he's so good. And audience, it's not right. It's not hard to do improv classes, right? They're everywhere. Is that something you would suggest somebody if they want to be better at sales?
I always suggest it. What if you want to be better
Okay.
at sales? You want to be better at, being in IT. You want to be better at developing a product. Anything that forces you to think differently, if it's not something you're used to. And I think too, and this goes into a little bit our discussion about management that we started having before we hit the record button. Anything that forces you to self-reflect and be a little humble about how you act is a tremendously useful exercise in your development. So if getting out of your comfort zone and trying improv comedy helps you see things from a different perspective, it's only going to make you a better business person, seller, or whatever it is that you try to do.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can be a depressed comedian too. So
There's
maybe you do.
there's a lot of depressed comedians out there. I'm not one of them. Things knock on wood. I'm very lucky. As soon as I said that, something bad's going to happen. That's why I got to knock on.
Yeah, knock on that wood. I knocked on glass, but that's okay. Let's jump into sales. You're another thing he was a White House briefer,
Yeah.
CIA, improv. I can't remember, White House briefer. But what did you learn with all that experience to help teach people to be better in sales?
So I remember, being a White House briefer, you're obviously in a lot of situations where there's high stress, there's high pressure, and you're dealing with people that are stressed out. I think translating that to a commercial profession, I probably don't even need to bridge that. I think all of us who have a sales background could immediately say, "Yep, sounds right." Pick up the phone. Somebody's got 10 seconds between meetings. I'm hoping they're going to give me a follow on so I can get 10 minutes instead of 30 seconds to talk about my product. Staying cool under pressure, dealing with rejection, being articulate, and being able to quickly and concisely explain why something that you have is relevant and important to the person on the other end of the line. I think those things carry over tremendously for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely a bridge there. What's one thing somebody listening going, okay, you're talking about sales and stuff. What's that first step to be better at sales?
Well, Steve, I don't know about you, but I get 15 plus emails a day from organizations trying to sell me stuff. And almost all of them start with something along the lines of either, hey, you're doing X, I have a product for you, or do you want to hire more people? Or, hey, I've got a product that does XYZ. Do you want to talk? The ones that I actually listen to and respond to are the ones that tell me something interesting about my business that I didn't know. And this is at the core of the Challenger research. I think I mentioned I was very lucky to spend a couple years at Challenger, #1 selling sales methodology book of all time. One of the core principles behind that whole practice is thinking about the person that you are approaching to try to sell to, your client, your customer, your prospect, and understanding what is a problem I'm uniquely positioned to solve, and what do I know about that problem that the prospect doesn't. The people in this day and age, when there are so many different media and voices and talking heads trying to take people's attention, the people that they're going to come back to and pick up the phone for are the ones that they can trust to help them feel smarter, to navigate alternatives, to avoid risks. So in your outreach, in your conversations with prospects, look for something that you can tell them. So if nothing else, they leave the conversation feeling like you gave them something useful and interesting.
Value add, uplift. I love it. Law of increase from Think and Grow Rich. Powerful. It's exactly what you're, oh man, that's so good. The other tool is listening. I mean, that's what you were talking about, but talk about listening. I think people don't get this.
Well, it's listening is tremendous, not just for sales, but management. And I know one of the things I was hoping to talk about is this little book I put together that's been it's on Amazon, came out in June, called How to Suck Less as a Manager. One of the yeah, I know. So Steve, this is again a place where we have alignment. I mean, look, if you're out there listening and you're a manager, chances are, like all of us, we probably struggle. Only 18% of people who are in management actually are really good at the core things that you have to do to be a manager. And yet, as managers, studies have shown we have as much impact on the mental health of the people that work for us as their spouses. That's an awesome responsibility. So to your point about listening, Steve, one of the most important things we can do as leaders is to, instead of always be the one talking, provide a space and safety to let the people under you show their value, and also so you can understand the things driving them, standing in their way, or that get them up in the morning. And if you can harness those things, you're already on the path to being a slightly less sucky manager.
I love it. And people are weird. And I've taught, and the reason I say that, I know, that's an improv right there.
It's true.
They really are. Because I talk to, friends that are restaurants, and the same person comes in every week complaining. Next week, come in, eat, complain. They complain, but they still come in and buy their food.
Yeah.
You just got to listen. That's what I've told them. And they're like, that's worked. I just listen. Okay, great. We'll work on that. And they move on, and that's taken care of. That's the other power of listening, is be able to suppress, not violence is a word, being angry. I'm thinking violence, probably because the election just ended. We're in the day after election.
Too soon.
Yeah. See, I knew this would be a fun show, and that's what they should be.
I mean, Steve, I'm in a battleground state, so when you say it's a war, but hey, we're all part of a big family, and hopefully we can all find the commonality. But to your point about listening, it really reminds me of a conversation I had with an executive at this AI company I'm working with a couple of weeks ago. And one of the problems that they hear a lot from their clients, especially CHROs, heads of HR, is there are right now 5 generations in the workforce.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a record, but it's a lot, as you can imagine, right? So, you got from the boomers to the Gen X, the millennial, the Gen Z, and now even the alphas, all of those together. And they all have different expectations and perceptions of what they want out of their employers. One of the really common divides that again, this client I'm working with, and I hear as well, is if I'm a leader from one generation, it feels like at times that the younger generations really want to talk about their feelings, and they want to be in an environment that is more supportive of them. And there's some veracity to different expectations, but I think sometimes it's also just a perception issue from different people. But one of the things we found is a lot of the time when people are looking to discuss how they feel, they just want you to hear them. They don't even want you to fix the things that they're asking for. It's just allowing them to feel heard and validated, and knowing that you support them sometimes can be enough to show that you care and to get them that extra mile that they need to go to be more productive, to be more successful for your team. So listening really has a lot of power, for sure.
I'm glad you brought it in past business, because people that work in grief that I've talked to on my show, they said that's the power. When somebody comes to you and says, I just lost my father, they don't go, hey, I lost my father and this happened. And that's not what they want. They just want you to shut up and listen. I say that all the time, because we shut up and we don't always listen. And I love that. That's such a great perspective. Let's dive more into the book, because I'm going to get it after this show, because just because of the title, I want to put it on my shelf that people see that. But give us some topics and thoughts on the book.
Well, so, over my however long career here in the public sector, the private sector, the social sector, that number 18%, that feels high to me. The number of times I ran into a manager who just wasn't trying, wasn't doing anything, was making the people under them miserable, really started to bother me. And I started to see that very often it was the same handful of things happening that were causing the same consternation, not recognizing the people on your team, not trying to create any kind of career development for people on your team, not listening, taking sides, being biased, not helping people with time management or prioritization, all things that are really actionable and you can really fix. So, as part of that, research and learning all of these things, I also was very gifted to learn from managers and leaders who were excellent. There were a lot fewer than the bad ones, but they were out there. And each time I saw somebody whose people loved them or who seemed to really be able to connect and motivate, I would ask them, hey, like, tell me something that you're doing that's working that I can learn from. So the book is just the collection of the top 40 best practices that you can use right away to help make your team more engaged, have less overwhelm, have a better sense of what you're trying to do, communicate more effectively with you so you don't feel like you have to micromanage them, and come up with a plan for how they can grow in their career while giving the things that their manager, needs so that you can also succeed.
Environments and culture, they cross over. People use both those words in business. What's a couple tips or one tip you would give somebody that looks in the mirror and says, hey, I'm a manager of this team. My culture's not good. It needs to be better. What could you tell them to help them?
Well, the first thing I would say is, my God, thank you for looking in the mirror and reflecting, because that's people ask me, what's the first thing I should do? Stop, take a minute and reflect. Too often we as managers, we fall into this role because it's the next thing in our career that's going to get us to the next level without thinking through, what is it going to take to be good at this, or without caring about the impact that you're going to have. So if you stop and you say, hey, I don't think I'm doing a good job, I think I can improve this, congratulations, first step already completed, and you are on your way to sucking less. I think the next thing I would do is talk to the people on my team and just be very honest. And you don't have to say, hey, I suck, how can I be better? But you could say, I want to make this team as effective as possible. I get the sense that there's more that we could be doing and communicating about with each other. What feedback do you have for me? Now, if you have a really bad culture and people don't feel effective giving feedback, make it a survey, make it an anonymous survey, and if you just give people a way to complain, they're going to complain. So I like to say, what's one thing you wish we started doing? Ask them for proactive suggestions about practices you can adopt instead of just as event sesh, although sometimes event sesh can be helpful too. And then show them that you've listened, talk about what you learned from the survey or from the conversations, and then start setting up a dynamic where you and your team are talking together about things that you can all do to work more effectively. When they're part of the solution, they're going to buy into it, they're going to trust more, and they're going to work harder for you. You will make more money in your business when you can do this.
Yeah. I'm rarely speechless. I'm speechless right now. I mean, it's so well said. And audience, what I love about Ben is that he took experience from successful people. It's such a great lesson. Learn from those people. Learn from the people above, mentor people below. Take, like you've done today for me and the audience. Here's what I've learned. Now I'm going to share it with you. That's the system that I see that people should do. But here's the flip side that's a lot of managers struggle with, is that not so good employee. I'll use the word bad employee.
Ooh, yeah. That happens. I've had a bad employee. Have you had a bad employee, Steve?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I want to, I'll tell you about mine, but first, we'll make this a real life, exercise here. Let's do it. Tell me about your bad employee.
It was a restaurant in 2003. She was late every single time. And her response was, what's 10 minutes? And I'm like, well, you work 3 days a week. That's 30 minutes times the month. That's 120 minutes. That's 2 hours that you could have got some stuff to. You could have cleaned, I showed her all the things that could have been done with that.
And what was her reaction? I'm going to assume it probably wasn't great.
It wasn't, because she started making excuses.
So I love the approach that you took, where when she said, well, why? She's challenging you. You said, well, hey, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why it's important to me. And you give her an opportunity to explain, Well, so I told you why it's important to me. Why do you disagree? And if she doesn't have a good reason, it's just excuses. That just shows what you're talking about is not important to her. And, if you can create a dialogue and say, hey, look, I want you to be on this team. I think you have some ability, but it's really important to me you be on time. Is this something that you think you can do? It's my expectation that you do this. If you set that clearly, if they don't disagree, if they agree in your reasoning and then they don't fulfill, I mean, I think that you've done your due diligence as a manager, because the reality is being a great manager is not helping every single employee turn into the best possible member of your team, because some people aren't. I had, in my case, my bad employee, it wasn't even a bad employee. She was just a bad fit. She was a great person, but
Yep.
she could not get her work done to a level of satisfaction that we needed for the company we were in. And she knew it. And I remember taking her aside one day and I said, hey, look, I imagine it probably doesn't feel good to constantly have me coming back to you and saying, hey, we need to work on this. How are you doing? How do you feel? Are you enjoying this job? I'm happy to work with you if you think, but I need to see commitment from you. But is this what you even want to do? And
Mhm.
what that conversation led to is it wasn't what she wanted to do. And she was unhappy because she considered herself a very smart person and wasn't succeeding. So then the conversation becomes, because I care about you as a person, why don't we try to find a different role for you that fits your skill set more effectively? Like, something that sucky managers do is they avoid these conversations, right? Like, having difficult conversations, that's something good managers have to do too. And the longer you put it off, the more you're not only hurting your team, but the longer you're preventing that person from potentially finding the thing that's going to make them fulfilled and help them find happiness. But it has to be done in a way, I think, like Steve, like it sounds like what you did, where there's mutual respect, where we give an opportunity to go back and forth, and where we state very clearly, here's what I'm looking for, here's what I need. Do you agree? Well, if not, then maybe this is not the best role for you. Let's talk together about what can be your next step.
That was a great exercise. It's exactly, and as I think about it, I don't know why I remember. Well, I guess because she was not such a good employee. That's why I remembered. We're coming to the end here, but audience, what Ben just did, and he's becoming a brother from another mother. I say that when people go, why do you say that? But I had to learn, and you had to learn, but a servant's heart doesn't mean everybody comes, kumbaya, come work for me. You've got to fire and let people go. But here's how you do it. You find them another job like you just did. I want to point that out. Hey, this role isn't working. Let me find your own. And if they're not good for your company, go through your network. That's why I tell people build your network
Yeah.
and find a job for them. Why not?
They might be your customer one day, or they might be
Eh,
your friend. I'm still in touch with that lady, and I'm thrilled to say she's thriving now. And we talk
Yeah,
to, we talk to each other every year on the holidays. And I'm thrilled that she wasn't happy then, but she became happy. And who knows
yeah.
where that goes in the future, Steve. You're exactly right.
Ben, you're awesome. And it's funny, the lady I was talking about, she's still 10 minutes late when I see her. So I don't think she ever changed.
So you know what?
But I
Find a
mean,
job where you can be late all the time. I don't know,
yeah.
maybe like a an Uber Eats delivery driver or something.
Yeah, there you go. And that's actually not off base their audience, because that's the other thing. If they have a weakness, find a job that would fit that. If the guy can
100%.
do paper, yeah, it's, we're laughing, and that's where improv is so good. We kind of just, we did do that, is it gets people, you understand that, and you're always going to be right. I want to put this out there, Ben. I got to have you back for part two. You willing to come back?
I'd love to come back. I actually have another book coming out in about 4 or 5, 6 months about managing your career. It's how to suck less at managing your career. So maybe we can discuss that and then talk about how hard that is and how everyone's terrible at it
Oh,
too, myself
all over
included,
that.
right?
Yeah, that's a great one, especially nowadays. Well,
Yeah.
I like to finish with improv. So it's funny that we're talking about improv. So you're sitting in a restaurant, table of four.
Yep.
Of course, you're sitting in one chair in the three
Mhm.
empty chairs. Who are you going to invite? Either they're dead or alive. Why are they invited? And what food would you order?
So what I thought this was going to be is you're at a table with 3 empty chairs, and I said, "Oh, like high school." Let's see
That's good.
who should we just end there, or do you start? That's
No,
I
no,
would.
give me your answer. Now I'm curious.
All right, the 3 people I'd want to talk to. Let's see. I think one would have to be Christopher Lee, the actor. This was a guy who was an actual commando in World War II. He was an actor. He was a philanthropist, and he had an awesome voice, and I've seen so many movies with him, and I was just doing a deep dive on his life. Really cool guy. I would also, can these be people who are living or dead?
Either or.
Either or. I think I would invite Mel Brooks. I've seen his movies a combined total of 100 times. I think he would understand my sense of humor. And I would love to get some time with him for sure. And then I think the last person I would invite would be let's say Conan O'Brien, because I think he would just round it out. We'd have a very serious person, a very professional person, and a goofball. And then I would specifically order something extremely spicy because I know none of them can eat spicy food.
Amen. So you get that all yourself. See, he's always got a thought. He's always got a method, or not a method. I can't think of what I'm thinking of, but doesn't matter.
There's a hidden purpose behind everything.
Thank you. See, when a guest can fix the host, it's a great show. It's awesome. And by the way, Mel Brooks, audience that's less than 50, Blazing Saddles. It runs generations. I don't know. That's a great movie.
I mean, we just watched Young Frankenstein in my house, so go check that one. That's a great movie too.
That's another good one. It'll last forever. Well, Ben, it's been a great show. I knew it would be after talking to you before the show. But I know people are listening like, I want to connect with Ben. How can they support you and connect with you?
Well, you can get the book, How to Suck Less as a Manager, a practical guide to making your team less miserable today, on Amazon. You can also go to howtosucklessbooks.com. That'll also loop you to my business, so you can find a contact page there. If you got a big change coming up at your company, or you're trying to make your managers better, or you just don't know how to connect with your clients, drop me a line. At the very least, we can have a fun conversation and do some improv, right, Steve?
Amen to that. I love it. Again, Ben, thank you so much. This has been so good. I see the Ben and Jerry's. We'll get into that. We'll get into that next episode. But a call to action, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And here's the thought. If you know people sucking, share this podcast with them. And I'm saying that kind of funny because it sounds funny, but there's people out there. There's a lot of people sucking. That's why Ben's in business, to be really honest, to make them suck less. And imagine if you suck 50% less. Really,
that's a lot less suckage. That's
a
lot less suckage.
Look at that. See, a lot less suckage, but your life will be better. And adding his servant's heart mentality to that suckage is huge too. So with that being said, me and Ben want to thank you all so much for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.